Ronnie Walsh, and this is season 2 of Extrapreneurs. This is the business show focused entirely on women entrepreneurs. We have great guests and great information throughout each and every episode. We focus on the issues and the opportunities facing women entrepreneurs. In today's show, we're going to meet the new CEO of NLOWE and speak to the board chair to find out what their vision is going forward for the organization. We'll talk income protection and explain what that is and how that can help entrepreneurs. And in health and wellness, we'll meet an entrepreneur who is influencing the health and wellness of young people. Stick around, there's lots to talk about. NLOWE has been supporting women entrepreneurs in Newfoundland and Labrador for more than 20 years. It's your goal to succeed in business. It's ours to make sure you do. For more than 20 years, the Newfoundland and Labrador Organization of Women Entrepreneurs has been supporting women entrepreneurs in the province. They provide programs and services from the startup phase through growth through already established businesses. Well, now the organization is under new management, as they say. There's a new CEO in town. Jennifer Bessell is the new CEO, and joining me today as well is the board chair, Jeanne Stapleton. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. New CEO, what's your vision?
Well, as an organization, our vision is to make sure that women succeed in business. We want to ensure that women who have the entrepreneurial spirit and the drive to be successful have every opportunity. We'll take whatever opportunities we have to facilitate that process by providing educational opportunities, by providing support services, mentorship, and help women make the connections that they need in order to ensure that they're able to be successful. From a visioning point of view, I know the board is also very active in determining how we move forward.
Yes. So how do you plan on moving forward together as a new team?
Together as a new team, we will be very much working closely. And one of the big things we actually have coming up is a big strategic planning process to get the new visioning together with Jennifer and our full new board, who are professional and experienced women. We're really excited about the new team that we have put together and sitting down and making the plan not only for the next year, for the next 3 years, but for the next 5 years. So,
are you looking at your current delivery model and what will that look like in the future?
We are actually. I mean, you know, since 1999, our delivery models have always changed, right? We've been around for 20 years, so the way we did things 10 years ago is not necessarily how we're doing it now and not necessarily exclusively how we're going to do it in the future. Each year we do a lot of networking events. We make sure that we have a lot of in-person seminars, and we really strive to ensure that women entrepreneurs are able to make the connections that they need within their communities. However, we also know that there's barriers to that, and that technology provides us with an opportunity to overcome some of those barriers. So moving forward from a delivery model, we're going to continue doing the things that we do very well on an interpersonal and one-on-one level, but we're also going to explore ways that we can do webinars, do seminars online, do workshops online, and ensure that women can also network and make the connections they need in a virtual environment.
Having a vision and having a new plan often involves partnerships. So how and who will you be looking at to collaborate to move this new vision forward? You might not be able to name specifically, but at a high level.
Well, essentially, we don't work in a vacuum, right? As an organization, our members and their input is invaluable to how we move forward, and we will be looking to our sister organizations and are actively working with those organizations to better deliver services and programs to women entrepreneurs, as well as we're looking to our strategic funding partners and other industry partners to really open up the opportunities for all entrepreneurs, but in particular for us, of course, is focus on women.
What challenges have you faced in your service delivery, and how do you plan to address that?
We did a study in 2017, which was the
Economic
Action Plan, and that study really provided us with a blueprint in terms of where there are currently challenges for our women entrepreneurs and where they need some assistance in being able to overcome those hurdles. So we're going to use that blueprint as a starting point for ensuring that we're able to address some of the challenges that have been identified. In addition to that, we're really going to reach out to our membership. Our biggest strength are the people that we provide services to. They are in the best position of being able to identify what they need to be successful, so we have to ensure that we're providing them with the opportunities to have the voice and to let us know.
I want to switch gears for a little bit because in recent months you've received funding. There's a funding announcement with the federal government, about $2 million, is that correct? So what exactly is that funding and how will that help you achieve what you're talking about here today? Jennifer?
It is a very exciting project. It's under the Women's Entrepreneurship Strategy. That's federal funding that's being provided to assist women across Canada with their entrepreneurial endeavors. We are actually using that funding and have been awarded the funding to partner with 3 other organizations throughout Atlantic Canada. So we are forming the Atlantic Canadian Women's Business Partnership. This partnership is going to be between the Women in Business Centre in Nova Scotia as well as the Women's Business Initiative in New Brunswick and the Women's Business Centre in Prince Edward Island. Together we're going to share resources as well as look at ways that we could increase our collective capacities. And in addition to that, we are going to work together to create new program for specific target areas of women to enhance their opportunities when it comes to filling the entrepreneurial space.
Jeanne, what gaps will this address?
Well, right now, a lot of the women in rural areas are not able to access necessarily all the same services as what you might be getting in the city. So one of the main areas of this programming is to reach out to those rural women, and women with disabilities as well as new Canadians are also going to be supported through this program.
So what are the next steps to achieve all of this? Your new vision, and there's funding to implement and things like that. What happens next?
What happens next with regard to this particular project is we will be meeting with our counterparts in the 3 provinces. We're going to be doing a series of consultations so that we can appropriately direct the initiatives that we design in order to fill this gap. We are going to be partnering with community organizations to ensure that we're addressing the needs in an appropriate way. As you can imagine, to provide services to Indigenous women also calls for a level of awareness that we may not necessarily have right now, so we need to partner with the appropriate organizations to make sure that we're doing things in a culturally sensitive and appropriate way. So there's a lot of reaching out, a lot of bridge building, a lot of consultation that's going to happen before we move into the development of actual programming. In terms of our membership, the benefits are going to be expanded services, new opportunities, as well as new mentorship possibilities.
And Jeanne, what's next for the board? This is an exciting time, it sounds like.
It is. When you have the opportunity, you want to grab a hold of it, of course, but we want to do it in a strategic manner. So the next best step for us is actually stepping together and looking at all the strategic plan moving forward, and we want to liaise with all our potential partners and ensure we have the best way forward for all women entrepreneurs.
Thank you both for being here today. Welcome to your new role. I'm sure the membership is looking forward to getting to know you and working alongside you. Thanks again for being here today.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Extrapreneurs is proudly supported by A Holding Place, providing individual, couples, and family counseling. In 2018, 2.9 million Canadians were self-employed, and that number is steadily increasing. 37% of those individuals are women. So, you're calling the shots, you're setting the agenda, you're picking your own clients. But what happens if you're unable to work, earn your own income, pay your employees? Well, that can be a daunting thought in itself, but there are some financial options. And Jackie McCann-Scott, the owner of Invested Mama, is here with me to talk about what those options are. Welcome, Jackie.
Hi, Ronnie. Thanks for having me.
So one of those options is income protection, and I'd like you to explain what income protection is.
When I think of income protection, I think of a series of financial products that are available to clients. People think of disability insurance when they think income protection. I tend to think about things in a broader context. Protecting your income against any, injury, illness, or health crisis, which will include products beyond disability insurance, like health planning and critical illness insurance. But for certainly our conversation today, I'd really like to focus on the disability side of things.
So what exactly does that mean? What does it cover from that sense?
Well, if you're unable to work for any reason, be it an injury or an illness, then your income is protected, meaning your income would be replaced by that policy until such time as you were able to return to work. So, that can mean a short period of time or it can mean a long period of time.
Who does it apply to? Do you have to be in business for a certain amount of time, have a certain number of employees?
No, and I think those are some of the misconceptions out there. You need to be able to demonstrate, that you have a track record of earnings, because what are we insuring if not, a track record of earnings? And income is everything, so you have to look at that. They also look at occupation risks. So certain occupations, may be looked upon as having more inherent risks associated with them. But truly, there's policies out there now that can cover even the most high risk of occupations. And then you look at different features that can be added to the policy in terms of how much of my income do I want protected? How long would I be able to wait until those benefits kicked in? And how long would I want those benefits to last if I was unable to return to work? And, entrepreneurs by nature are highly motivated to return to work, and they, if possible, want to get back. But if they are, unable to take time to focus on wellness, they may never be able to fully realize their dreams. And that's why I think income protection is so key.
So you talked about you have to have provable or measurable or examples of income. So does that mean that you should be in business for 3 years, 5 years prior to considering this, or can you have 1 year of business under your belt before you proceed with income protection?
Well, in terms of disability insurance, they normally look at 2 years of insurable earnings for, of a track record of earnings, and that is self-employed earnings as well. So what I often do with clients that haven't yet reached that milestone in their businesses is we'll put in place, a less expensive critical illness policy to say if you were unable to work because of an illness, the injury, is something that we'd have to work towards down the road. But if because of an illness you're unable to work, we can still make sure that you have a lump sum of tax-free income to allow you to focus on, getting better so that you can get back to work and be in business for that 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, however long you want to be. So there are steps that you can take, and I think, don't assume, if there's one thing for people to take away today, is don't assume because you're an entrepreneur and maybe a new entrepreneur that protecting your income is something you shouldn't worry about. I think it's something that you should be having the conversation about as soon as possible.
An illness, it doesn't necessarily have to be big illness. It can be a small illness, right?
Absolutely. We have policies in place that will protect you, day one from an injury or from an illness. And there was an Ipsos Reid study commissioned by a major insurer about 4 years ago. And that study showed that there are most disability claims, about 2 out of 3 claims are for periods of 90 days or less. So, it's not something that will necessarily make it impossible for you to return to work for years and years to come, although there are quite a few of those out there as well. But something that will, bridge that gap. Because as self-employed entrepreneurs, a lot of us don't have government benefits that will cover that short-term loss. That same study showed that 80% of people didn't feel prepared to have no income for 90 days. So even if we're talking a short-term illness or a short-term injury, the reality is it wouldn't take much for people to start having to cash out RSPs, take on more debt or dip into their savings.
Are women more susceptible to injury and have their income impacted than, say, male entrepreneurs? What does the research tell you on that?
Well, the research tells us that, yes, while men tend to have shorter mortality, meaning they tend to pass away before women, women have a higher incidence of disability claims and events. So, and that's reflected in when we start shopping around for coverage for our clients. They see that they will pay a slightly higher premium than their male peer for income protection. And that's because the studies have shown that they're at a higher risk. So I always say to them, the bad news is you're going to have to pay a little bit more than your male counterpart, but you're more likely to need this. So that's why we still need to have the conversation.
What are the barriers for entrepreneurs for seeking income protection or having this overall protection?
Like everything, Ronnie, it is cash flow. Cash flow is king, income is also king. But what I find is people make the assumption I can't afford it, so I'm not going to bother. But something is always better than nothing. So I say to clients, come in, we can put a policy in place that will at least provide some relief if you're not unable to work. And we can build into those policies the option to increase those benefits as your business continues to thrive and as your income and your cash flow is not as big a concern. So there's always a solution. Just have the conversation.
Very interesting, Jackie. We're going to put some additional information on our website so people can get their head around how much this costs and additional details. But thanks for coming in to explain it.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.
Special thanks to our sponsors, the Newfoundland and Labrador Organization of Women Entrepreneurs, Invested Mama, and A Holding Place.
I first realized I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I think, when I was about 8 years old.
I'll call myself a reluctant entrepreneur. Of course, Deborah dragging me into it was part of it.
My favorite thing about being an entrepreneur is the freedom I have to make my own choices.
I really feel proud of how I could put my skills to building a community.
I sometimes think the key to our success is sheer determination. Each one of us brings different problem-solving skills to the table.
The people around us have contributed phenomenally to our success. The staff, our teams, they are such talented people, and we get a lot of energy from those folks that we work with.
Many things inspire me. One of the things that I feel helps me get up each day and keep going is the idea of a job well done.
We try and give back to our community in whichever way we can. We established a not-for-profit organization that has two really lovely projects. One of them is the Unscripted Twillingate Digital Arts Festival. A second project that we started this year whereby we pair seniors with a younger generation to transfer gardening skills and food growing skills.
We think that it's important that if we can, we must. And so we do.
If you stand still, you're actually regressing. There has to be a what next always.
We want to help grow Twillingate, not just what we do with our business, but with the industry here in Twillingate.
I hope that there are others following behind us that see some example, and hopefully we pave the way for others.
Extrapreneurs Health and Wellness segment is brought to you by A Holding Place, providing individual, couples, and family counseling.
Keeping your business ahead of the curve, or in this case, fresh, can be a challenge. But Jennifer Wellsman, the owner of Thyme Catering and Cooking School, seems to have done just that while also influencing the health and wellness of young people. Jennifer, how did you get the idea for your business?
Well, I was actually a busy mom myself, and I opened up my first company, Time to Dine, where I was helping busy families and individuals with meal prep and preparing meals for them at the end of the day. And I found that during the summer it would be quite slow, and so someone suggested to me that it would be a great idea to have cooking classes. And so thinking about that, I decided to start doing that during the summer.
So that's a way to keep your business fresh. Now you've taken on a new venture. Tell us a little bit about this beautiful space that we're standing here now.
Well, so in this space, I will be offering, continue to offer my summer camps as well as classes during the year. I'll be doing corporate events as well. Everyone loves to cook, and so this is an opportunity for anyone who wants to cook to come in and do classes and to learn, as well as preparing meals for my clients and grab-and-go meals as well.
Why have a storefront for your business? What motivated you or prompted this move to this location?
There are so many people looking for healthy meals, and the idea of where there's so many dietary specific requirements that people are looking for, that wasn't in the area. And in order for me to be able to have what I wanted, I have to diversify. You can't just do one thing anymore. And so in order for me to do so, I decided to add a retail aspect as well.
What kind of planning or research? You talked about you can't just do one thing anymore. So how did you come to this point right now? What research or planning did you do?
So I looked around. The basis of this, with regards to my cooking with my meals and everything, I had done a lot of research into that. The main reason for my going into this business was for me to have an area for the cooking classes as well, for the cooking school. So I looked into the area as to what was being offered for cooking classes. There wasn't anything there that I wanted to, that was what I offered. And so I decided just to go ahead and give it a try.
So that was the motivating point. You did your market research and that was it?
It was, to an extent. I'm someone who I wanted to do it, and I debated a lot about it. The economic environment is such that there's so many things opening and closing, but at the same time, if I didn't try it, I wouldn't know if I could do it. And so I decided to do it and build it, and they will come, as they say. And especially the cooking classes, it's so important for kids to learn how to cook. And so I felt that if I didn't try it now, I wouldn't, and there would be a lost opportunity.
What challenges did you face in creating this storefront for yourself?
The main one was financial. Obviously, it's quite a large financial thing for me. So I did look into getting help with that through different organizations. And then also just whether or not it would be something that I could do for myself and, and to get the business. But I'm determined to make it happen. And if you diversify and have a lot of things that you can offer, then it is possible to get it going.
Let's talk about that diversification. Why do kids need cooking classes?
These days, even young adults don't know how to cook. And if you don't know how to cook, you're going to end up going to fast food. You're going to end up going to get the frozen foods. And the obesity rate in Newfoundland, Labrador especially, is so high that if kids know how to cook for themselves, and just the basics, it doesn't have to be any master chef type meal, but if they know how to do the basics, then they're going to have so much more opportunity for them.
What are they learning? You're talking about the basics. What are those?
They learn how to use a knife, and so that gives them the confidence. Cooking is a lot of confidence. A lot of people say they don't know how to cook, but they just don't have confidence in the kitchen. So kids learn a lot of confidence in the kitchen. We learn how to make healthy meals, but meals that they like. It's all about making sure that the kids are eating things that they like to eat. If they don't know what's in the meal, they're not going to try it a lot of the time. So we make healthy chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, sweet and sour meatballs, things that they enjoy, but that they can also make to suit their needs.
Was there anything about working with kids and the experiences that they're having with you that surprised you?
When you try to teach the children and you explain to them the reason that they're trying this, you don't always expect them to agree with you. So a lot of the time, I'll explain to them that they may not necessarily be their favorite meal, but at least try it. Well, we have a saying in my home, try it, you may like it. And so a lot of the time the kids, they'll be like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, trust me, it'll be okay. Try it, you may like it. And a lot of the time they may say, it's not what I expected or it's not my favorite. And I'll say to them, but is it okay? Like, can you eat it? And they're like, yeah, it's better than I thought it would be. And I feel that's a real bonus if I hear that during the day.
So what difference do you think that you're making overall in the health and wellness of our communities?
Ultimately, it's eating healthily. So with regards to the children, they're learning that they can make food to suit their needs, but it's healthy food that they're eating, and it's putting them on the track for forever. With regards to my other clients with their dietary issues, it's so hard these days with busy lives to be making food all the time, meal prep. So even though my meals are grab and go, they're healthy meals. It suits their dietary requirements, and they're eating healthy, which is what they want to do.
What's next for you and your business?
I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing, cooking and teaching classes and just educating people and making the future kids learn how to cook.
Thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank you for coming.
Extrapreneurs is proudly supported by Invested Mama, moving you and your money forward. NLOWE has been supporting women entrepreneurs in Newfoundland and Labrador for more than 20 years. It's your goal to succeed in business. It's ours to make sure you do.
Season 2 is in high gear. Thanks to our interviewees today, our supporters, our sponsors, and of course, our volunteers for making this show happen. For more information about each episode, you can check us out at extrapreneurs.ca. We have special features and reference links and words of wisdom from entrepreneurs from coast to coast to coast. Check us out. Thanks for watching tonight. We'll see you next time.